Hello, everybody. My name's Tony Cardenas, and this is the Indy Real Estate Market Weekly Update. Today, I'm sitting here with Justin Griffith with Keller Williams,
Hello.
Shelley Walters with EXP, Carmel, Indiana, and Kyle Morris with FC Tucker. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good.
We're awesome.
Happy to be here.
Well, you know, we got a lot to talk about today because of what the market is doing and changing. I think there's a lot of good to it. Looks like the inventory's good for the buyers. But Shelley, let's move over to what we were talking about right before the show, something that you learned this morning in a meeting.
Yeah, we this morning my bar put on an event, and it was based on an American Strategies polling that was done here in Central Indiana that was evaluating consumers' preferences for housing. Last time this was done in 2018, and now it's this one is obviously in April of 2022. So looking 5 years later, what some of the changes have been. I just found it very interesting. They made us also take a test to see what we thought the answers would be, and I was wrong all over the place. So number one thing people want when they're looking for a home or what they want where they live is low crime. They have a great safety level where they're at. Number two, what they want is high-speed internet, which I was shocked as being the number two need. And number three was quality of schools. So what they did was also look and see what people are looking for in homes, what type of homes they're looking for. And in 2018, I found this very interesting. In 2018, 83% of people that were looking for a home were looking for single-family housing. And that dropped in 2022 all the way to 66%. They're the only looking for single-family. And what the switch was in 2018, the attached housing, townhomes, condos, was only 8%, and that's risen to 2022 to 17%. So are you guys seeing that with your buyers?
It's weird. I mean, I just did it this weekend, but it's like, how do you quantify that, right? Because a lot of that is because of COVID, right? It's just the after effects of that. That's why the high-speed internet, the schools went down a little bit, probably because, people took their kids out of school or they were at home or whatever it may be. But I don't know. People moved out from the city, right, during COVID because of, population and distancing, social distancing and all that stuff. And I think people are moving back, right? Because, it's great to have a yard till you're taking care of your yard 3 times a week and you're losing 6-8 hours a week that you could be with family. So I don't know if that's part of it. Like, that's just me kind of guessing and spitballing here, but it's interesting numbers.
Yeah. I mean, convenience. We use apps to order food. We use apps to order cars. I mean, it's like they do everything. I think people are wanting like maintenance-free living. Buy something turnkey. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing they were looking at too is I think it has to do with age groups as well. So the age group started at 17 and it was like 17 to 30. And then it was above like 65 to 70. Those were the big people that were changing over to wanting those attached. I mean, I think that would be normal, but it just still shows that it went up 9% in 5 years. And
it's interesting numbers for sure.
And in 5 years, it'll probably reverse back when people realize they want a yard, they want the space, and they don't want to be living right on top of people.
Well, when you talk to people, like I've had this conversation a lot actually this summer about people who whether they should get a duplex or not, right? Because financially, like if you want to deal with the lifestyle of it and you have a tenant next door, financially, it's a no-brainer.
Like paying your mortgage. Like, why not?
Exactly. Yeah. But you're also, unless you get a mortgage or not a mortgage company, a property management group to cover it or whatever, you do lose some of that privacy and you get some extra headaches. But financially, it's a great move. Yeah.
Well, what you were saying about the pandemic, one of the tests or questions they were asking was, since post-pandemic, what were some of the things that were making people move? What were they looking for since the pandemic? The reasons they were moving, 70% of people were moving to get closer to family, which I see that a lot with a lot of my buyers. And number two was 69% were looking for larger yards or access to public outdoor spaces, like you were talking about, which doesn't go with a single attached versus single and attached. But the third was home office. Of course, we know that. Everybody was looking for that. Mm-hmm. So those were just some of the things I thought was interesting to look and see what people are looking for and why they would try to move in today's market.
It'll be interesting to see how much this working remotely evolves in the next couple of years. Like, will it get even more intense, or will it claw back a little bit? I know some of the bigger corporations are making people come in, once a week, stuff like that, twice a week, stuff like that. But that also then impacts commercial real estate, which also then impacts development downtown, which then can also turn into housing downtown.
It's funny you brought that up about people working at home. What's going to happen in the next couple of years? Because this morning on the Today Show, people that are home full time are not going to go back in the office. Their privacy is being taken away a little bit, and they're going by these companies by keystrokes, how they check in, Zoom meetings, what they're seeing. And some of these individuals in the professional world, they don't like it. Okay. And some of them say, I'll go find another job. And some say,
it's almost micromanaging.
Well, that's exactly what it is. And some of them saying, hey, I'm working all day long anyway. It doesn't matter to me because my keystrokes, he goes, I'm blowing it up every day. But you're right. People are looking for office space at home. And then it goes back when you said internet could be is number 2. I can understand. Everybody's on their doggone phones all the time. And I can see where that's an important part of it.
Well, especially if you're working from home, it's very important. And I know after the pandemic, it was very interesting, as we continued to work through the entire time, just to see the difference in way people were looking for homes or what they needed to do. And, going through a house with a buyer and trying to explain to them that this living room that we never use would be a great place for an office, because they were trying to say that the houses didn't exist out there that had the office space they needed, but you had to help them see where you could find office space.
Formal dining rooms that get dusty all the time.
Well, you know what? It's funny you said that on the formal dining room space. I went into a buddy of mine's house and I thought, what happened here? He boxed it all in, put French doors on it, made a TV. It looks like a custom office. That dining room is gone. He goes, we eat in here maybe once a year around Thanksgiving or Christmas, and that's it.
And so especially if you have an eat-in kitchen, you already have a big table there.
Absolutely.
What's the second table for?
We literally did the same thing, and then we built a custom desk. That's a T. So like at the time, both my children used it, and then my wife and I used it. We got pocket doors, all that stuff. Spent a little bit of money on it, but the thing about working remotely is it sounds so amazing at first, but it comes with its headaches too. I mean, my wife's been doing it for a couple of years now. Like, you don't have to drive, all this stuff. You also don't get to disconnect from work as easily. Like, there's headaches
social
at work.
connections.
There's so much. And so I think more jobs will be available to work remotely, but I actually think maybe people will actually want to go back in the office. It'll be interesting.
Because
I
was at the my home office this morning, the last 2 days and a couple days last week. And I'm thinking, I look it up, it's 11 o'clock. I got on the computer this morning about 7:30, and I thought, man, I got to get out of here because, the dog's looking at you. I got to get out there to get into the social situation.
I was at an event this weekend, and a lot of people were talking about this. It seems to be, we're in real estate. We don't talk about this as much because we're out with people all the time. But a lot of people were sitting and talking about this over and over again this weekend, and it was fascinating to me as the people that are dealing with this and saying, I really want to get back 1 or 2 times a week. I don't like being home. I mean, I'm really missing it. And then the conversations of how they would decide what job they would take on depending on how much they could get back into an office, and if they weren't going to, so. That's
it starts
totally
to impact like depression, anxiety, all these things, right?
You're exactly
I'm sure
right.
that's skyrocketed.
Absolutely.
It's another podcast.
So
We'll
what
run
does all
those
this have
numbers
to
next
do with
week.
housing? But the way people were trying to purchase their homes, this was very interesting to see that what's most important, and it did show that the pandemic was changing how people were trying to live.
And the interesting thing to like Justin's point is like I bet we'll pivot back. I really do. Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, let me ask you this: what's going on in the market last week? Up and since we posted numbers and everything, what did you guys see this week?
I saw plateauing on numbers. Like listings from last week to this week were pretty similar.
Yep.
Still moving.
We're talking about Meridian, Kessler, Broad Ripple,
Downtown
Mass
Fountain
Avenue,
Square.
downtown Fountain Square. Let's go over your numbers, Justin. Tell me what you got. Let's start off with Meridian, Kessler, or Broad Ripple, wherever you want to start.
Meridian, Kessler this week, there was 13 new listings, which is great. 6 of those pended, and 7 of those are still active, adding to the other 22. So we got 29 active in Meridian, Kessler, anywhere from 586 to 1.99 million. We had 4 closed this week. All of them closed over asking price. So we're giving you this number today, but this is last month's numbers. But
I got you.
Looking back at last month's, all of them are up over asking price, anywhere from 10 to 15,000.
Yeah,
which
but
is
you
great.
just said there was 15 listed, correct?
13. Yep.
13 listed. And how many sold?
6.
Isn't that pretty good?
Yeah.
That's real good.
That's
isn't
within
it?
7 days. Yeah, all these numbers we give you guys are within
right.
the last 7 days.
Meridian,
so.
Kessler, and Sobro,
Yep.
Broad Ripple. What do we got in Broad Ripple?
Broad Ripple had 5 new listings this week. 4 of them pended. So there's still 1 active, making a total of 19 for sale in Broad Ripple right now. And 2 closed. Both of those were over asking price, 10 to 15,000. And average days on the market were 20 in Broad Ripple. So
what were the average days on market in Meridian, Kessler? Jump back to that.
11.
Wow, okay. That's really good.
Yeah, not bad at all.
I mean, all these little violin stories we're hearing about that some of the markets are getting really bad. Right here, I think we're doing really good in Indianapolis, Indiana market and
absolutely.
Hamilton County area. I can't.
And this is the last 7 days, so
Yeah, I
this
can't
isn't
speak for
dated
Boone.
information like the information we got today at my board.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing.
That's really good.
Most up to date, and people are still figuring out that their houses are hearing that houses aren't selling within that first 4 to 5 days. That's okay, because if we look back, and we say this over and over again, if we look back 3 or 4 years ago, the average day on the market would be 60 to 120 or something, and now we're at 20.
Yeah.
That is still so good.
Yep.
It's still a huge seller's market.
What else we got there, Justin?
Fountain Square this week, we had 6 new listings.
Wow.
There's currently 30 active there. 5 of the new listings are all pinned, which is great.
Oh, absolutely.
Again, 2 closed this week. Both of them were down under ask price, anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000, an average price of $472. So that number is actually up. Bates Hendricks had 5 new listings this week, 4 pinned. So again, we're
Wow.
not having any addition to the inventory. We have 1 extra home now that.
What was the low at Bates Hendricks?
The low right now for sale that pinned was $139 and as high as $450.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then 2 sold. 1 was over ask price. 1 was under. Average days on the market is 23.
Okay. Shelley, what do you got for Carmel, Indiana?
Well, so these stats, again, we're talking about the past 7 days, and
Sure.
school just went back at Carmel. This past week and a half, we are talking about people getting ready for school. So it's a little low. So only 38 houses hit the market in Carmel in the past 7 days. 15 of those pinned, so almost half of them. Currently have a total of 115 on the market. So we're down about 30, what we have been having, anywhere from 185 to 7.9 million. Days on market in Carmel are about 20 right now. So,
But that's a lot of good inventory for Carmel compared to. I'm always going to go back right now because I still can't compared to 90 days ago. I mean, that is some good inventory for buyers to look
right.
at.
And that is all price points, obviously. And we,
exactly.
still talking about price drops and stuff like that. 19 had a price drop. In Westfield, only 30 hit the market. 8 of those pinned. They do have 157 on the market, so they have a good inventory. They're 22 days on market's the average. Prices in Westfield active right now, 199 to 2.225.
And they have a ton of new construction up there. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just
Yeah.
neighborhoods going everywhere. I
Yeah.
think that you're going to see that number probably tick up too.
Yeah, and then
Exactly,
if the
Justin.
buyers keep, or I'm sorry, if the builders keep their building going as they have, it sounds like they're starting to slow that down.
Well,
a little bit too.
I think the builders really want the real estate agents now.
Yeah.
They do, but like we were talking about that beforehand too, right? So the concern is, people are, I don't know, overreacting to like the market and builders because there's not inventory problems, but material problems. I was at a closing this morning and somebody was talking about just the delay on garage doors. Right, like because you can't even get a certificate of occupancy with most lenders if you don't have a garage door, and they're just so delayed right now. And so builders are starting to offer incentives again, all these other things, and the concern is, are they going to start drawing back on production while they try to see what's going on? But we have such a huge inventory problem nationally. They have to build. Like we need them to build for us to get back to like where we really, really want to be.
Right.
And my concern is, are they going to be overreacting to things just normalizing, right? Like everybody has been to a certain extent.
Exactly. What else we got there, Shelley?
In Zionsville, only 13 hit the market in the past 7 days. 5 of those pinned. Total of 45 on the market, anywhere from 299 to 7.9. Average day there is 22 days on the market.
So we got some really good inventory on your side of the Hamilton County.
And again,
Zionsville.
days on market are still very, very good.
Right. Okay. Big Daddy,
What's
FC
up?
Tucker, Kyle Morse. What do we got on your inventory list?
All right, so for Fishers, we had everything from 179,000 to 1.2. We had 47 actually go on the market. 29 of them are still active. 18 of them pinned. So I'm a little bit lower, but both. So I got Fishers and Noblesville, and both of them, they started school the past 2 weeks as well. So some of it's just a little bit of a hangover from that stuff. There's 142 actually on the market in Fishers.
I like that hangover.
You like that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Most people don't like
I
those.
do not like
No,
that.
I don't like it. I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah.
But I like how you put it that way. I gotcha.
Yeah, I'm a wordsmith. 19 days on market though. So, and that was one of the things we were going to talk about too is, how do you interpret days on market?
How many price adjustments did we have?
I didn't even really get into that to a certain extent just because I already know we're high. And I hate to put out information that is misleading just because there's so much that can go into a price adjustment. It could be overpriced in the first place. It could be location. It could be condition. It could be timing of the market of when you
Gotcha.
listed it. There's
Inspection issues.
Yeah, there's just a lot. Noblesville had 40 go on the market, and anywhere from 125,000 to 1.1.
Wow.
Yeah. 24 of them are active, 16 are appended. So I actually had less pinned this week, but it's helping inventory, right? So we have 117 total. So like what Justin was saying, like the inventory for my area specifically has kind of been holding steady for the most part. Days on market has been increasing. It increased from last week for me to it's 17 days on market for Noblesville. Fishers went up 2 days as well, but it's the school stuff. It's all that. So
Absolutely.
like, you can't just look at the numbers like that. But we were talking about numbers and days on market, and you know, there's information that just came out saying locally in the 16 counties that are kind of covered around here that, you know, it's 8 days on market. But the problem you have is like that information gets pushed out, and that's July numbers based
Absolutely.
off of
May and June
pins.
sales.
Yeah. And so like we're just the one good thing about this podcast, not the one good thing that came out wrong. The nice thing about this podcast is like we do it weekly, right? And so like we are like up to date. I take every single thing that is currently pending and I do average days on market on it. So it is as up to date as it can be. Right. And that's a 10-day difference. You know what I mean?
At least.
Yeah.
And that's
for days on market, right? Depending on the area even.
And
right?
that's what we're talking about with all of this is we keep trying to say this is just the past 7 days looking at everything. And all of this information, whether it's coming from MyBor and their stats of when it's coming from national news or local news, is how, you know, we all know how you do stats is totally dependent on how you did the stats, on
right.
what information you were using and how you interpreted it. And so with this,
exactly.
we are past 7 days. The stuff that's coming out on MyBor, they do use, you know, information for the past 30 days, which is 30 days ago closings or pendings. So we're 60 days potentially behind on some of those numbers, and they don't tell us what's happening in today's market this week. And that's where we get back to using an agent who's in the business day after day and understands what's happening this week, because it is changing quickly and it changes weekly that, next week we just don't know. And that's where we have to help our sellers to be calm and understand that next week, you know, we'll tell you how that is, but we're not going to start doing price drops and everything else. If we're, only been on the market 4 days, average days on 20, we're doing just fine.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to like everybody's like, what's going on? It's okay. It's still a seller's market. Like you're still going to make a ton of money on your house, more than you probably ever could have, right? And then at the same time as a buyer, like you don't feel like you're being manipulated or have no leverage anymore.
Absolutely.
You can do inspection responses and get things and concessions.
And do a second showing sometimes and see that house twice.
I got to tell somebody this week to sleep on it. Oh my gosh. Like
they're like, you sure?
Yeah. But for us, like to what Shelly's saying, like being in it so much, these numbers have helped significantly to have the pulse on it with both sellers and buyers. It just really does. It helps me set the tone better. And so I just hope people are listening. And if they don't have an agent, they reach out to us. If they do have an agent, I hope they let them know about it. So
and they're doing this.
And
like
they know
looking
what the
at
stats
statistics.
are up to date, right? Because I know there's agents that listen to this as well, and they're getting this information. And I think it's just, it brings a better level of professionalism. It brings a better level of customer service for everybody, and people feel represented to the utmost.
Yeah, walking into a listing appointment talking about July numbers, that doesn't really help us.
Yeah.
Not especially in
That's
this
a really
market.
bad tone to set.
Yeah.
And just 2 weeks ago it's different. So
100%.
Coming
and
in
in
with
2
that.
weeks it'll be different, right? Well, maybe like beginning of September once we get through the holiday, right? It's going to pivot on us again.
Yeah. And school's back, but we were talking about that a little earlier. So school, getting back into session and stuff. We've been for 2 years talking about this whole market as one whole, but we are still in a cyclical market.
Yes.
Whereas school goes back in, this market does slow down. That's standard timing of the year for us.
You lose a part of the buyer's demographic, right? You just do. But then a different demographic comes out, right? And so it's just, to your point, it's always cyclical. So.
Well, hey, we were talking about rates a little bit before the show, but let me, I pulled something up off of a bank rate. Okay, here you got 3.625 on a 15-year. Oh, it seems like a great deal, except for you're paying $6,850 to get that rate, and that's from a large lender. And then you run down here to, Home Loan Depot, 4.875 on a 15-year fix, and you're paying $7,500. Let me explain something to you. These rates from some of these lenders, they're just loaded up. Allied, you got 5.490 for a 30-year fix, no points. But this guy's telling the truth, okay? Right here. This guy's telling the truth, and I got 46240 in here. But if I go over to another rate board, Okay, I'm talking about a 780 credit score, 20% equity, refinance or purchase. You could get easily 5.125 today and not pay any points. If you really do it and you can close quickly in 30 days, you might even be able to get a 4.999. That is on a home, your personal home. That is not investment properties. Investment properties are much higher, but the bottom line is it's 4.999, and that's on a 30. And then you can get over here to a 10-year fix. I'm going to tell you something. I knew somebody that wanted a 10-year fix last week, okay, down in Florida. They end up getting it a little higher down in Florida. Here it was 3.875. They got a 4.25 down there. Exception of the problem of Florida, you got to pay all those tax stamps.
Property taxes too.
It's not fun. But the bottom line is the rates are good right now. So for the buyers out here, shop your lender, shop your lender, shop your lender. Okay, that's the only thing I can tell you. Get pre-approved. And, don't pay points. Don't pay points. I'm telling you that right now because that affects them on the price of the house that they're paying. So if they're paying $15,000 or $10,000 in total cost, that guy might say to his wife, look, I know it's kind of crazy, but I'm not going to XYZ on a monthly payment and it's over. It can shut the deal down. So these customers have got to shop. But I want to bounce off something that you were talking about before the show. What were you talking about on MyBor about some of the data? Because I like MyBor a lot.
I love MyBor. I mean, you got to go to
Metropolitan's
it.
Indianapolis Board of Realtors.
Yeah, I love MyBor. Yeah. So, but their numbers are accurate. It's just that, when they come out, I mean,
they're trailing.
It's a much bigger system, right? And so
Absolutely.
like we have the luxury
of getting right
dialing
down to
it in, right? And so they don't.
Getting it out immediately. They produce it once a month.
Right. Exactly. And so all that information is just, it's 100% accurate. It's just a little bit older versus this is up to date, right?
Right. So back to your numbers. Well, we tell your numbers about Noblesville, about Fishers. This is our raw data that it's there's no delays in it.
This is from 10:30 this morning.
That's exactly right. And I tell people that on our podcast, a subject to change, cancellation, something gets messed up in a deal and it does get canceled. Obviously, it's going to change all the data across the board.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you spoke about that this morning because I think when the news is out there, okay, and they're talking on a couple news stations this morning, I think they're talking about what the hell happened 30 days ago. Yeah. And I think it can hurt the picture of somebody that actually wants to buy a house.
Well, like one of the headlines that was up was about, I don't know, like buyers, I don't even, what was it? Home purchases and scroll down real quick for a second. Home purchase sentiment hits lowest level in over a decade, which is so concerning because like that actually adds fuel to that fire when, I mean, I built my house 8 years ago at the current rates. Like this is what I got locked into 8 years ago, was insanely happy. There's inventory, you have time. Like it's a great time to be a buyer. It's also a great time to be a seller, and people like that just doesn't rest with people that it can be both for some reason.
You can actually negotiate. You can sleep on it, like you said, for the one deal, and you can also shop your rates right now. It's like
it's the
and you got time to do it. Yeah,
right. But they're putting out information that it's like,
you're right,
what's
Justin.
going on, and like
it's a normal market.
It's great.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Or what we used to call normal.
Everything doesn't need to be a knee jerk. It's just
right.
Like,
it doesn't have to be one way or the other. Like, why can't it be in the middle? Like that's how most life is. It's like in the gray. It's not black or white. Right. We're in the gray. It's okay.
Well, media loves to have something that they can talk about.
Shocking headlines.
Yes, so that it makes it, so anything we're
again,
saying, we're not lying.
right.
We're not trying to be positive. We're just saying what
We're
we're
just
seeing.
putting out facts.
Yeah.
And remember, our show is about Indianapolis, Hamilton County. We're reflecting what's going on in our market. And then soon, we will be in Avon, Plainfield,
Hancock County.
We'll be touching on Boone County and Hendricks. But the bottom line is, it's not bad everywhere when they say it. And it just irritates me when I see this on the news. And I'm thinking, look, you had so many listings in Carmel and 50% of them already sold.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's unbelievable. And you talk about Noblesville, how aggressive it is. Somebody can go up there and get a really nice home, get a really decent rate on a mortgage, and call one of you guys.
And have choice.
And have choices right now. Yep. So I think people have got to understand that.
Yep. I mean, the bigger thing is like what we've been talking about, like sellers. I think they're starting to get a little bit more educated on it. Like it's working, you know, like we're here putting out information and you know, it'll be 2 weeks behind this as it all adjusts. It's just that we'll still be kind of 2 weeks ahead of it, if that makes sense, right?
Well, hey guys, we're at about 25 minutes on this show.
Well, but I feel like
was a
we
good
passed over really, really quick that you helped buy a house down in Florida, and I'm just curious if it's on the beach. What do I got to do to get down there for maybe a week, something
Well,
like that?
it's,
How close of friends are we here?
It's more down in the Sarasota area. But hey, Kyle, who do you work for, and how would somebody get a hold of you if they had some questions about buying or selling a home?
Morris Property Group with FC Tucker. It's 317-649-5122.
Justin Griffith. How would they? Now, wait a minute. You're with Indy Metro.
Keller Williams, Indy Metro Northeast. It's a long name.
I know, but can you sell on the west side?
I sell everywhere.
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 Even the south side.
Within 2 counties of Marion County. I have a limit.
Okay. Okay.
The car does not have
Justin
a limit.
Griffith with Keller Williams. How can they get a hold of you?
Phone number is 317-507-5599. Website is fishers.realestate or customcontainerbuilders.com.
Shelly Walters with EXP Carmel. How can the people get? What's the name of your property group?
Shelley Walters Realty Group,
And you're with.
EXP.
How can they get a hold of you, Shelly?
You can reach me on my cell phone at 317-201-2601.
Okay. Everybody, have a great day.
Have a great day and a great week.
All right. Thank you.